All right. Welcome to Mentally Hungover with Anna and Nicholas Allen, where we walk all the aspects of mental health and trying to punch today in the face, right? Or every day in the face.
Every day in the
Um,
face.
the plan was to talk about our credentials and our backgrounds a little bit more than we have because we've touched on them, but in the aspect of like, what are our credentials and what does mentally hungover mean to us, right? Leading into this, we got into a kind of a hiccup where we're like kind of reset and started to dive into things that kind of throw our days off, right, and lead to that mentally hungover classification. So, Nick, how was your day today?
Obviously I've classed the joint up. I have my suit jacket on tonight and my pin.
Brushing it.
I had a big bond or a moment in my speaking career. I spoke on a panel today at SC Johnson, a Council of Military Veterans, a big event. I was one of three veterans on the panel. There was an Air Force general, a naval officer, and myself. So I felt like I was the little guy in the big pond, but I think I held my own. It was a good event. I think
Yeah, you did.
gave some good answers. We'll have video for that here in the next few days to, I guess, use for some promotions and things like
Put it
that.
up, kind of give you a background on
Yeah,
who
but
we are.
it was a big moment. And I think as we started recording earlier and talking earlier, but it's a perfect example of how I'm feeling right now with mentally hungover. Had a great day, had a big high, did really well. People saying, "Oh, you did really well, thank you." It actually means a lot to me when I can go speak to people and they say, "Thank you for speaking how you did and giving the answers that you did." I take pride in that. So big day for me. And then we were recording and I just don't feel the same as I did earlier today. And there's a lot of build up to that event. We've been, I think, on the schedule for almost 3 months now. Some preparation, talking back and forth and hear that.
Oh, yeah.
And then going up in front of, I think, probably 100 people in the auditorium and then another 200 people on streaming. So pretty okay crowd. And then that'll go up on their website for their training modules and things like that. So definitely there was something that's not going to go away and something that people are going to see a lot of. So there's a big moment for me at a real company. So, and now I'm feeling,
yeah. And it's not a small company.
It's not a small company. I'd like to pause to thank our sponsors. Milk. But not the one you're thinking of. But now I feel I had to stand up earlier and take a break because I feel mentally hungover at the moment. So
Sure.
I believe what you have could give the scientific definition of what all happened today to me on the chemical side.
So we were talking about it, right? And this is one of the realms of my credentials of being a couch expert, which is how I refer to Couch Anna. She's learned a lot of shit. She has researched and she'll sit on the couch and marinate it. Anyway, so Nick, you were telling me about how the day was and you're like, I just feel off. And I was like, Lisa, do you want to know what happened? Because there's like scientific definitions of exactly what you went through. So the big lead up, especially neurodivergent people, PTSD people, like myself, live in this fight or flight, right? ADHD people from birth are predestined to have more of a fight or flight, put on a mask kind of thing. That triggers a survival cortisol dump or cortisol, right? So we have and our lifestyles didn't contributed to it. We live in fight or flight. So we can't necessarily do or get things done until we get like our executive functioning kicks in when you get a cortisol dump, right? So the buildup and the anxiety that happens and you're regulating emotions and your cognitive functioning and you get to the thing, you're anxious about the thing, you do the thing. what happens is literally it gives you a hangover where that cortisol dump leads to like you don't have any happy hormones anymore because your body's not predestined to do it. And like it is relatable to drinking, whereas Anna would go out, put on the bartender, have the best time ever and like, oh, so much serotonin, so many happy things. And then the next day it's like, boom, total drop. Like that was more of my hangover, the emotional regulation and things like that came afterwards. It was more, that had more to do with my hangover than the actual alcohol did at certain points in my life. So what happened to you is literally in a textbook kind of form of like anxiety and executive functioning and cortisol and hormones and all this stuff. That's one of my credentials is that I know those things.
What are the rest of your credentials in that area?
Well, I wrote some things down, right? So I've become a registered life coach, which I did because I think it's helpful, but also because your resume is a little bit more impressive than my background. But registered life coach, which I'm excited about because I'm also a parent advocate for people navigating the school systems with IEPs or neurodivergent kids, or kind of helping bridge that gap between social and home services, right? I am in schooling right now to become a registered behavior and art therapist, which is something that I'm passionate about for not only kids and adults across the realm, but also there's therapeutic art that you can do that helps specifically with PTSD or bipolar or anxiety and all these things, light therapy, color therapy. So I'm becoming registered in both of those things. My pertinent background would be that I've been in the realm of mental health for 26 years, if not 43, right? I have combo ADHD and hyperfocus. So when I research something, I research it all. I was diagnosed myself bipolar, autism level 1 or Asperger's, PTSD, anxiety, and then the resulting physiological effects of that is a very severe eating disorder that I talked about in a couple of different episodes. So I have had to become not only an expert for myself over the years, but that got kicked into hyperdrive when I have an 8-year-old son who is autistic level 2, which is a more difficult level than mine. And he also has immunodeficiencies and anaphylactic reactions. So like I've had to become this couch expert in mental and cognitive and overall physical health, gut biomes, neurodivergency, all that. And I have taken all of that realms of things that I have had to really become an expert on and use that to be an advocate for people. I know that what I go through and how I think, like I'm not alone in it, right? So that is like my background credentials. Oh, and I'm also a hairstylist and former bar owner. So like I've been in the realm of not only my own mental health shit for a long time. I have heard everybody's stories, right? Like I said in the first episode, like it's the other realm of mental health, right? You either go see a therapist or do something good for yourself, self-care, and see your hairstylist, or you go and have a drink with your friend.
All acceptable in moderation, I suppose.
Yes.
I guess we'll dip into I'll get my tagline. I'm Nicholas Ward. I'm an ambassador for the Green Beret Foundation, a public speaker, a retired military vet, medically retired in 2018, and co-host to the aptly named Mentally Hungover podcast. I don't know if you've heard of it, but shameless plug. We advertise
shameless plugs are my favorite.
Each and every opportunity. So, but I believe
we just call each other all day and are like, "Hey, have you heard about this podcast?" We
are our biggest fans.
Sorry.
Firm believer. Thank you for the lead-in. I'm a firm believer that a lot of my issues, if you call them issues or symptoms or whatever they are, had something to do with my addiction to getting hit in the head pretty much every year for 15 years. I've had a series of concussions.
Right. I'm sorry.
I believe my symptoms are a result of my addiction to getting hit in the head with various objects for approximately 15 years in a row.
It's hard to edit when I laugh. You God can't make me laugh like that. Addiction to getting hit in the head. Come on, you can't.
Do I have to start over?
Yes, I'm ready.
In an abusive relationship with TBI, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And as a result of that, numerous concussions and not really understanding how to heal from those or to take the time to get better. I would get them sometimes in close proximity, and that led to ultimately being me retired from the military in 2018. So, and possibly the being angry about getting out, and then now somewhat getting over or coming to terms with the fact that the military was taken away from me as it was. And now I do this. I talk to people pretty openly about mental health. I obviously have this podcast with you. I go do public speaking, and I try and give as real feedback and answers as I can, whenever I can. And hence today, I was feeling quite good this morning, or during the event, and now I'm feeling a little mentally hungover. Shameless plug. But I mean, essentials, things we've learned, life experience, on the job training. I think we both have a myriad of experiences in that realm, and that's where we overlap, and we come together for this.
I think especially, like, we don't claim to be the experts on anything. We claim to have experiences that are pertinent to things that are out there that people aren't talking about or newly talking about. And if we can normalize talking about the things like mental health and cognitive functioning, all that stuff, like, the more we don't have to know all the answers, the more we can talk about it, normalize talking about it, then the better the world gets. Did you go completely into, like, what the term mentally hungover means to you besides just today? Like, is there more stuff that you want to
So the name of this podcast, Mentally Hungover, we arrived at it through a text messaging session. And
if anybody wants to see that, I posted the text thread on our Mentally Hungover Facebook page.
Yeah,
so if anybody wants to see, I did post that.
As soon as we got to Mentally Hungover, it's like, that's it. That's what we have to. That's where we got to be. Exactly. To me, Mentally Hungover is not only what it just says, but is we all get there. We all have down times after good times, and everything that goes up goes down. And the better we can recognize what's happening to us and why we are that way, possibly we can take steps to alleviate those symptoms, or at least understand why things are the way they are, and maybe make ourselves better in the process.
Hell yeah, Nicholas. I love that. I mean, I think that that's exactly it. Whereas, I call myself a labeler, where it's like, I want to label what those things are. What is the scientific definition? It was earth shattering to find out that other people had gone through similar experiences or knew what I was feeling for this whole time, when I was just, I was mentally hungover. Like, I think that that's something that I didn't realize. And the more that I dive into it, and the more I have conversations with you and your experiences and society's experience, I'm really defining, like, what point in my life was I just doing harmful things as far as eating, drinking, self-harm, trying to go back and figure out, like, what part of those things, what part of the hangover or the shit feelings that I had was because I was being shitty to myself, or was it because I was neurodivergent and had all of these diagnosable things that we should be talking about, right? So mentally hungover to me, whereas I would just be, Anna's in a bad mood or feral or whatever. It's like, no, I suffer from ADHD and autism burnout, which is the clinical definition. I need labels, right? For me, mentally hungover is exhaustion, freeze mode. I get out of bed, but I am going through the motions and counting the hours and just trying to survive, right? That's mentally hungover. That results me in rapid cycling, right? We've talked
Right.
about hitting the bottom, and like one day we'll discuss all the mania and decisions, right? There's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's Groundhog's Day. Oh God, for months I keep saying to Shane, I'm like, I'm fucking Bill Murray. Like I am living the same day over and over again in quarantine and can't get any further. Like that is mentally hungover when you consistently feel like you're beating your head against the wall and you're not making headway. Like mentally hungover. I'm like, oh, I said to Shane, I was like, mentally hungover for me is that my anxiety and my fuse level is always one level below DEFCON. Like, I don't know what level that is, but it's like
Hmm.
everything unplanned, even if it can be good, is immediately a spiral blindside. Like when I'm living at that level, like I am at
Yeah.
one thing and it's right. That for me is mentally hungover.
Mentally hungover is
Perfect.
important uh, as as a place that we get to. And we spoke last week. I think it was last week when we met about sundials, right? Sundials, they always have a saying, and the one, and if you look at a list of them, and they're generally mostly all about time.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that sticks out to me is it's later than you think. Uh, we don't have as much time as we think. I think that needs to be. And when I get to this stage, get to a stage where I'm mentally hungover, or things are possibly too much, and I don't know where to go, don't know what to do. I just think I want to be able to do things like this, do things that I like, do things that I want to do to get me out of that, because we don't have as much time as we think, and I just don't want to lose days. I want to find ways that keep me at the top of at running functionally as long and as well as I can. And I think things like this, being on a schedule, and we talked last week about drinking, not drinking and being actually physically hungover, along with mentally hungover, probably feeds into it a lot. But being on a schedule for me, getting into the gym, finding
Physically.
ways to keep myself on
Mm-hmm.
the best path, on the things that I can influence. And then when there are setbacks, which a lot of life is just preparing for the next setback, because they're going to happen. There's no stopping them. There's no avoiding them, but being better prepared for things that happen, especially mentally. I spoke today to people, and they said, "What's the biggest lesson that you took away from the military?" And the biggest lesson for me was that you have to be prepared for it to be over, and being prepared. Like getting out of the military was mentally a giant setback for me, and being prepared and keeping myself ready for the next setback is very important to me. So things like this, speaking with you, speaking to people, and hopefully helping
Yeah.
people get through their tough times does a lot for me. So kind of where I'm at.
Same. I always, so I have Coffee with Anna where I just verbally throw up all over the internet, right? It's a processing tool that I have. I don't need to talk to a therapist. I need to talk to the rational Anna while
Right.
I need to get Anna with her hair on fire needs to get it out so that, and Couch Anna needs to look at it, and they just can't exist at the same time. Anyway, I talk all the time about I cannot do it for me today. I understand that I just can't do it for me today. And if somebody else can't, if you can't do it for yourself, do something for somebody else. Because selfish, selfless, helping other people, especially when I feel like shit, will have a roll down
And
effect where,
what did I say? Selfishness and selflessness are two sides to the same coin, where we do things to help others, but
too
it's
close.
selfish because we're helping ourselves in the process.
It's yin and yang, right? There's a lot of philosophies out there about just tit for tat. I like that you touched on like self-care stuff, right? Us talking doing TED Talks or, or doing talks during symposiums, things like that, and being able to normalize the conversation of mental health in your special realms of things. I love all of that. I do the same thing with coffee with Anna, because I think it's so important, going back to, normalizing the conversation, right? I, so you touched on like self-care things that you do, or things like a schedule, or things, to me, those are considered self-care. Is there anything in particular, like, I do this positive thing that I know will help besides helping somebody else? Do you have your own? Right.
I can feel the difference when you work out and you go in the morning. And I'm a morning workout person. People who work out in the afternoon, that's a completely different species of human. People who work out after work. I just never could do it. I have to get up, because I won't. I'll come home and I'll sit on the couch and I won't work out. If I do it before work, then it's done. It's all done.
Ew.
And the day, not only does it go by faster, but I feel better about myself. I got all that hard
Yeah.
work in,
Yep.
and now, I mean, it works the best for me. But a lot of that was put in the military. Where we'd get up, we'd work out, and then we'd go about the day and get everything done. But you get it up, you get it out of the way, and some people can go work out after work. I currently am not one of those people, but I guess if I had to. Okay.
I, I can't. It's not that I just can't work out after work. I don't work out in the morning. That's not that currently on my list of things is not a self-care, but is going to be one day, so that I can rebuild some of the muscle that I've lost. Right.
And the sleep schedule, I think, is also very important. We spend 6 to 8 hours a day in bed, and just getting that quality sleep also can do a lot. I know a lot of people can't. They have children, or they have things that keep them up, reasons they can't sleep. But for me, just trying to sleep and stay I'm like a big baby. I need to be put to bed. I need to be put to bed and then wake up at the same time every day.
And work out in the morning, right? Self-care.
So what do
I
you
like it.
think? What do you think your identifiable self-care items?
I mean, before, I feel like because I didn't know how to self-care in certain ways that I really needed to, I spent a lot of time caring for other people. So I'm really working on healthy boundaries that I didn't know I needed before. Like you and I talked about that, right? Where it's like, I have panic about, I don't ever turn my phone off. My brother broke his neck when I was 20 because he had dove into a pool, and my phone was off. So I have severe anxiety about turning my phone off and answering every call. And now you'll call me and I'll message you and be like, busy with Grayson. Like, do you need me now, or are you just checking in? And setting that boundary of like, like, I don't want to hurry people up, but being like, I don't have time to mentally commit to that, and identifying that for me, and then being able to express that to other people in the way that they still want to be my friend, where I'm not like, just stop fucking talking to me, because I wouldn't yell at people. But like, I had a cousin that every time we were on the phone and I got bored or anxious or insert anything here, I didn't know what to do. So I just got to the point where I would just hang up. Like, I can't believe she's still friends with me, right? Like, I didn't know that I would have anxiety about certain things and have these habits, right? So not only is my idea of self-care is setting a little bit of boundaries, it's also making sure that I make the nail appointment. Because if I don't make an appointment and put it on my calendar, I won't go. Like, it's hard for me to do things day of. So I make the appointment and then I try to stick to it. So like, I got my nails done. I purposely scheduled a girls' day on Saturday because one of the biggest issues is that I work from home. I'm quarantined at home. I'm with Grayson. Like, even when I'm trying to work, it's this constant stimulation where it's not him that's the issue. It's just that my brain cannot focus in this environment. So it is scheduling when he's out of the house to be able to lock into the shit that I have to do. Like, that is self-care, even if it's working or things that aren't necessarily like getting a massage or pampering myself. Being able to regulate and regiment myself on a schedule, which is exactly what you touched on, right? It's knowing and identifying the things that make my heart race or cause an emotion, and really be like, okay, I need to look at that and reflect like that. is something that I've really had to kind of learn in this whole self-care route of like taking time to read mental health books or to have this podcast to talk about it and things like that. Like this is my self-care, right? I think yours and my relationship is very unique and awesome. And it's, we are learning how to
Yeah.
self-care at the same time. But we also rely on each other of like, what are you doing? Like, I need you, how are you? I can tell that something's off, right? Like we are used to helping each other's kind of self-regulate that as friends do, but I think we do it in more codependent way than we would like to need. I don't know. Like, I love that we have the friendship that we have and I wouldn't change a thing,
Yeah.
but I also wish that we both were able to emotionally regulate where sometimes our friendship feels like it's on fire because we're both like,
Yeah. Ask yourself, or I ask
I don't
myself,
know where that was going.
how am I feeling, or how am I, take a mental inventory of where I'm at with certain things, and try and ask myself questions of what do we want to do? Where do we want to go with this? What's our end state with a particular project? And I guess the last one on self-care is a preventative step is making so many commitments that I won't get bored. I commit to speaking, and commit to the speaking is a big one, because some of that entails writing. I'll have to write a custom speech for an event, and then generally have to memorize it. And I cannot be doing that if I'm hungover or drinking too much. And unfortunately, as I get older, it becomes more and more difficult. So I have trouble. There's a cloud, I think, that follows you around when you're hungover for days, for even weeks now. And I feel like, after a couple of weeks, I break out of that cloud and I'm able to write and express my ideas and I can focus on a lot of things all at once without writing anything down. Whereas if that cloud is following me around, I don't seem to get anything done. And then I feel worse about it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's that's self-induced. That's things you can avoid.
Like a cloud, like that hangover, whatever. Like that is the definition of ADHD burnout, right? So it's like, normally you can juggle the balls. You can have 10 balls in the air. You know the lists. You know what you have to do. Things are easier. Like I used to thrive on that. Like, oh, yep, I know the answer. I know the answer because I can handle all this shit, right? Whether it doesn't matter what it is, the burnout that is the mental hangover. Your brain absolutely cannot do those things. And it makes it harder to even take notes to write things down. Like, not only can I not remember, I can't remember to write things down in an effective way that even if I do write them down and I put them in a folder so I don't forget, I still lose it. Like, I'm to the point where I think I drink coffee that I leave around the house, or I don't eat food because I can't remember to do it. Like, I am in the exact definition of a total autistic burnout, but I don't have the opportunity to be in one. Cool, bro. I know the couch definitions. I don't know how to get out of it.
Cool.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Well, you're trying. At least we're trying. You have to. There's a million sayings for starting. As long as you're doing something, as long as you're trying to start, trying to exercise, trying to be more mentally fit, trying to understand what is going on and what you can do about it. And if you can make it a little bit better, just even a little bit better at a time, it'll add up over days and weeks. Yeah. But yeah, invite everyone to reflect on their own mental well-being, and check us out in the comments.
In the spirit of keeping the conversation going, we definitely recommend or invite our listeners to take a look at our Facebook page. We have a Facebook group called Mentally Hungover, and it is a continuation of background and things that go on here, and places we can put polls of conversations that we want to have, or people, if something we're talking about is pertinent and you're like, I know somebody who is an expert in this, Like I'm constantly having interviews and sourcing different information that I have to have, and I'd love to bring that in here. But if you want to engage with our community, that's where you would go. You'd go to the face. We have our on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, which is very fun. And we thank you all for listening. We are aiming for weekly releases and special content, maybe merch soon, because I need a t-shirt.
New videos every so often.
Hey, listen, we are working out the bugs, and we'd rather put out higher quality things than lower quality things. And so it'll take a little bit to work the bugs out. But now that I have a template set up that I can plug and play with editing, it's going to go so much better. So the goal is we're both putting in our schedule. This is our self-care. We're going to record on Mondays, and my goal is to have the next episode released by that morning so I can do the socials and things. I'm refreshed and ready to go on Monday night.
It's a new week. It's a new week, and hopefully the hope is that we get better and better at this, and the quality and the discourse and everything gets better and better. So, or that'd be a lot better than worse and worse. Oof.
I'm not doing worse and worse. Not an option.
No.
Nick, pass.
Pass. So.
Pass. It's the politest way to say either I can't want to, or I'm just not gonna. I can't want to do that. That's that's executive functioning disorder. Couch, Anna. In closing, give yourself the ability to be able to tell somebody pass and not over-explain why, right? We're gonna leave that with the listeners. That's a self-care. Learn the word pass, right? And as usual, be good to yourself and be good to others.
We thank the audience once more for listening. Hey, a special shout out to A Little Bit Drunk But Hey for our first ever review.
We very much appreciate you. I just really like the tag name and would like to meet that person in real life.
Well, maybe we have the ability to meet them digitally anytime. So,
all right. We'll wrap it up.
If you're feeling froggy, please leave us a review, like, and follow. New videos released every so often. Or Monday.
Okay.